Kindly luminous beings, guardians of this place, we're here in love and peace and ask you for your hospitality, blessings, protections, including protections for all communications and associated technology whilst we are in this place. And so let it be.
So much.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you everybody for making it through the storm. I hope you left the home in good condition and it was fine and all the rest of it. We have been through it quite a bit, haven't we? And it's so lovely to see so many folks determined to get here, to see our new co-chairperson, Alex Russell-Stoneham, who has been gifted to us from other realms almost, known as the Thames. Into a sensible land, Tamar. And I am very, very honoured and delighted to introduce her officially to us with her own talk, which she's about to give on Labyrinths and Dragons. So without further ado, over to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here, and it's lovely to see you. Today this talk is about a journey. You know, we've all got a life's journey that we're on, and I'm sharing some insights, some aha moments, epiphanies, some experiences that hopefully you'll find of interest. And something that may resonate with some of you, it certainly resonates with me, the statement, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. And Hermes, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, Trismegistus,
Yep.
also connected, I believe, with Thoth, the ancient god of wisdom, and the same lineage, I feel and believe, connects with Merlin as well, the Merlin wise sage. And some of the work I do day to day in my holistic practice is about cultivating the inner space within us and trying to align it to our outer environment, whether it's our home, whether it's the earth energy around us, and also connecting with the stars, connecting with the constellations, the cosmic energies, and seeing our own inner cosmos as an infinite space of self-discovery. And so on the journey that I've been on, this is a bit like the idea of a personal storybook. We all have our own hero's journey. We're all on our own path. And along our path, from the day we arrive here, we have things that come up, things that happen to us or around us, things that spur us into action or stop us from being able to take action, and sometimes challenges that occur that help us grow into more than the sum of our parts, thanks to those challenges, even if they're not really appreciated at the time they're happening. So in terms of my personal journey, I always believed in fairies from a very young age, and I kind of dug my heels in a bit as I grew older, not wanting to let go of that feeling I had of magic and a sense of I may not physically see these elemental beings with my actual seeing eyes, but I have a sense that there's something there that's magical. And also, when my stepfather was from Evergissey, and we used to spend a fair bit of time in Cornwall, and when I was about 12 years old, I was taken onto a friend's land, and they had an ancient fugu on their land, and I went into this fugu. It felt to my 12-year-old eyes like a burial chamber of sorts. I didn't know. And there was a pentagram with a fire pit in the middle on the land as well. I had no idea. I felt maybe that's something to do with witchy stuff. I didn't know because you're 12 and there was no internet then. But I remember feeling something going into this fugu, a sense of mystery, a sense of timeless wonder. And also, around the same time, it was Indiana Jones that came out. And so I kind of felt that sense of explorer, archaeology, discovery, that sense of magic. And he was my hero at the time. And so it kind of felt like a nice connection. I started dowsing age 15. I was at a boarding school. And sometimes in the boarding school dorm in an evening, you run out of card games or things like that. And somebody picked up a necklace with a pendant and said, oh, let's try doing this. And so from quite a young age, I discovered it worked. And I didn't really understand, but I could get a yes or no and have fun with that. And that took me on a dowsing journey that I'm still very happily involved in today. I fell really ill when I was at college, sixth form college. I had to take a lot of medications, get a lot of different treatments, and it was the sort of illness, if you didn't take medication, you would die. And I was really lucky that my mother took me to acupuncture, homeopathy. She took me to lots of complementary, as well as trying to find me the best allopathic support at the time. She took me on a lot of health, sort of holistic support journeys. And I remember having acupuncture one day and coming out of the healing centre and just really noticing the leaves on the trees. And when you feel in that very calm, connected sort of space, in touch, in communication with nature, and everything feels like it's at a gentle pace, and that you're walking in the rhythm of how Mother Earth breathes. So acupuncture helped me to experience that at quite a young age. And in the end, homeopathy got me better. So I was very grateful, even though the illness was horrible, to come out and learn so much about how all sorts of practices can help us get back to health. It was a wonderful shift in my gaze. If I hadn't become ill, I would have gone to university, studied ancient history like Indiana Jones, and probably been a dusty professor with books. So that would have been fun, but I'm much happier being where I am. And also, I studied meditation around that same age because I realized the illness I had was an autoimmune illness. And I noticed that my thoughts were not constructive. There was a lot of self-criticism. We have the inner critic going sometimes on and on and on in a loop. I studied meditation with a really lovely book by an Australian chap called Barry Long. I read some of the steps, and then I got into an altered state of consciousness. And in that state where I got a sense of there's no time, there's no space, I feel like, I am one with everything. I said to myself, or to whatever, space I was being held in, I said, come on, show me what you've got. It was a little bit of a gauntlet, Chuck. And every single cell in my body, from the feet up, shimmered like a wave. And I now believe you could call that a Kundalini awakening. I didn't know it was called that, but it felt I was not going back. After that point, it changed my life. I realized there's so much more. If I can be in this state of consciousness and every single cell in my body can shimmer almost on command, but I didn't ask it, but I set down a challenge, what's possible? The sky's the limit, it felt like. It was a really powerful experience to have at a young age. I was very grateful. Because of the illness, I didn't do my Indiana Jones studies, so I ended up doing fashion design. And the collection that I did for the fashion show for my degree sort of graduation was inspired by Boudica, ancient sort of Neolithic feelings. I worked with an amazing woodcarver that was inspired by archaeology as well. And the collection, I called it Geomancy. And it's really interesting in this talk. You'll see it's a little bit full circle, but from a completely different place where we're landing with geomancy. And what I understood geomancy to be at that time was man, woman in harmony with the earth, in conversation with, in alignment with the earth. And I'm now understanding it's a lot more than that. Discovered spirit guides, having a team around you in my 20s as well. And when you connect with guides, you know you're never alone. You can't feel lonely as such. You've always got your support 24/7. Been on some lovely inner journeys with them. I was told when in that quiet space that my spiritual name was Thoth, Artemis, Isis. And so that was a really interesting collection of names to be told. And so I've connected, in various different ways with those energies. I started channeling in the form of just quietening, stilling the mind. And again, dowsing helps us so much with that, balancing both brain hemispheres. So the busy, logical, rational left part of the brain doesn't dominate all the time, and just letting that balance and space in so that you can hear higher beings, guides, and I channel, write and draw as well. So I then, when I was working at a big company, I was just really interested, and I couldn't say why, in the flower of life. And the flower of life has become the emblem of the business, my holistic business. But it's one of those things that's an infinite journey of discovery. So this little book, you open the page and you turn the pages, but it keeps going. So no matter what level of consciousness you're expanding into, you can keep expanding. There's no lid on it. Flower of life and loving that. Also, I was guided to do labyrinths. So we had some woods at the end of the garden, and I built a labyrinth. And it's been a magical journey connecting with dragons as well, thanks to the labyrinth. So I'd love to take you through some of these inspirational experiences that I found magical in my world. And we've each got our own map of the world. So everyone here has their own experience, which is valid in everyone's unique, wonderful way. So just because I'm saying this is my experience doesn't make it the right one. It's my experience, and I'm happy to share. So I love connections. I love finding the dots of light in between things and joining them together. I have a sense that the Merlin energy would do that as well. It feels like alchemy. It feels like inspiration, serendipity, synchronicity. And so these kinds of aspects, obviously you already know a little bit about archaeology love, and I've always loved mythology, legend, because they're the patterns, they're our stories, they're humanity's stories. They connect us, they weave us together. And they talk to us in this symbolic way, and symbols and images speak directly to the soul. And so when we're working, for example, with something as wonderful as tarot, the symbols speak right through to who we really are. They bypass the thinking mind. And so it's a soul conversation. And recently I came across how, we're not new to this. Alchemy has a lovely long history. And alchemy, I was fascinated that it used to be astrology and astronomy were one. Science, chemistry, and magic were one. So everything was unified. And we looked at things at the whole level and at all levels, like the mind, body, spirit. And so Leonardo da Vinci was looking at his fascination with the human body and rivers. And when you look at them, and he was exploring how branching blood vessels were like tributaries flowing into rivers, and the expansion and contraction of breathing mirrored the ebb and flow of tides. And he looked at the patterns of how things grow, and looking here at lungs or looking at how trees grow, and everything is connected with these beautiful patterns. Sacred geometry underpinning everything, and the harmony associated with that makes us feel okay. When we look at maybe a brutalist building done in grey concrete, not in harmony with sacred geometry, it feels a bit So, but when we go maybe to a cathedral where the monumental masons knew exactly what sacred geometry was and how powerful it was, we can feel it in tune with our surroundings. Being in nature with the trees and the cathedral spires of the trees can make us feel at home and at one. And the interesting thing about this was it's just, again, as above, so below, the macrocosm, the microcosm. We see this in patterns across our lived experiences. I really love this spiral. I'm a big fan of spirals. Spirals are healing. Spirals are energizing. Spirals are mystical. And I love the connection with astrology, with the cosmos, the movement of the planets, the expansion, the contraction, and the influences on how we feel day to day. How does our little world of the mini-me fit into the big universe? And we can see with spirals and patterns and symbols, we can nestle in and we can find our place. And looking in to the center of a spiral, it's like the 0 point field. It's where the magic happens. And if you can get into that stillness of the mind, body, spirit, where you can just be and open up into that void and then feel that sense of no time, no space, that's the most beautiful place to be of all. Spirals! I bought a spiral. This is an ancient druid cloak pin, but you can see the Triskelion, you can see all of these things, and I love the balance when you have the movement, these magical stones, the cup and rings, the spirals. There's something very healing about spirals and very energizing. I can't remember the exact talk, but I might mention Nigel. I think you might have been on the same Earth Energies talk when somebody was talking about sitting on a log where there was a spiral and their knee got better just by sitting on the log. That's my memory actually working for once. Brilliant. Yeah, so spirals are healing. Lots of things in the earth and the cosmos are spirals, and the earth is an amazing healer. Looking at spirals in a more three-dimensional way, I see them with the toroidal field. The toroidal field that goes around every cell, shaped a bit like an apple, because I can see this shape here is the spiral. And you will see when I show you some labyrinth energy lines that this is really what's happening in the center of a labyrinth. So we'll have a look at that in a bit. But I love all these patterns. And this goes around the world as well. We have the toroidal field around the world. We have the toroidal field going around us. And everything is connected. At the moment, I'm studying sacred geometry, golden geometry, the golden section. And I've been studying phi, PHI, this sign here. And looking at it in a 3D sense, it looks like a toroidal shape as well. and just looking at how things work with the golden section, golden geometry and phi, everything fits together in perfection. So the phi number 1.618, infinite decimal numbers, never ends. It works in perfect unity. And so when you see the spiral coming out, that's the growth. You can connect Fibonacci numbers with the golden section as well in the same kind of way. I was drawing intuitively how I felt the energy was in a plant. And I wasn't studying a plant, I was just tuning into the energy. And this is the drawing I did. And this was quite a few months ago after, I don't know, can you see a little bit there? It felt like the spirals are coming up, and then this is the energy out the top that the elemental sort of beings, we can call them fairies, work with. And also it felt like the energy was rooting down into the earth. And just this week I've been studying how there's a kind of a spiral with the 5-pointed star, and you can infinitely draw it down, 5-pointed star, keep going with phi. So it's really fascinating how phi, that proportion in golden section with the spirals, with Fibonacci numbers, how everything fits together in such a magical way that you couldn't make it up. But somehow there's some sort of divine orchestration. I'm not a mathematician, so I can't explain in the really pure thought-based geometry ways, but when you look at the shapes, do they feel right? Just trust how they feel. And so, with the sacred geometry and the flower of life, the way I see the flower of life, it runs through everything, all of creation. Everything in sacred geometry starts with a circle. When you draw anything geometrically according to those principles, you always start with a circle and start to make the vesica piscis with the two other circles. You start to branch out for there to make squares and triangles and all sorts of other shapes. So my feeling is the flower of life is extraordinarily special. And I do see a connection with our energy fields, with how we grow, with how life works. And so you can see here the patterns with the fruit of life, the Metatron's cube, the tree of life, the sacred geometry, the golden section, the egg of life. You can see that kind of, I think it's called a Maltese cross coming out. I recently came across the potential for the Holy Grail to be in the flower of life. Who knew? And on to lovely labyrinths. So, do any of you recognise this one?
Yeah, I think that might be
Is that the one down below St. Nectans?
Yeah, Tintagel sort of region.
Valley.
Yeah. I've yet to be able to go there, but I love this picture, and I'd be interested if anyone wants to douse on how old it may be. So if anyone likes dousing ages of things, I'd love to get a bit of feedback on that, because I've read different things, and I'd love to feel. So with this carved into some beautiful rock, this to me feels timeless. And the labyrinth, people compare it to how the brain looks. So you can look at this and have a reminder of the brain. And what kind of journey are we going on in a labyrinth? Can anyone raise their hands if they've walked a labyrinth so I can see? Oh, okay. Yay. So if you have yet to walk a labyrinth, we're going to walk a labyrinth on paper today with a finger labyrinth. And I can really recommend it. We don't have to go out in the wet today to walk a labyrinth. Has anyone noticed anything when you walk in and when you get to what's called the labyrinth goal? Has anyone noticed anything or felt anything that they could share?
You feel, as you're coming out, you suddenly feel a lot clearer in your mind and a lot,
Yes.
because you're when you're going in, you're sort of still in your, what am I doing this for? And
Yes.
when you come out, you find it's, I don't know, you just feel a lot clearer and a lot more uplifted.
That's lovely. Yeah. So going in, you can maybe have things you're carrying, and you go to the centre, come out, and you feel clearer and maybe lifted. Yes.
I did some work with Sig Lonergan many moons ago with Labyrinths.
Okay.
And his idea, which I kind of agree with, is that if you have a problem, a labyrinth can be a solving device. Because if you think of your problem as you're going in, and all the things that surround it as you go around each path, you stand in the middle and you ask your higher self, not necessarily your guides and helpers, but your higher self, to show you the answer on the way out. So as you're going out, you are rethinking the questions that you thought as you were going in, and hopefully you will get answers to those different questions on the circuits if you're going out.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
That's a lovely example of how wonderful a labyrinth can be. So you go in with, let's say, what seems like a problem that can't be solved, a conundrum, and you can have that intention, and you can think through all the different permutations of that problem. Go to the middle, let the alchemy happen, and come out with a shift, with something unlocked or something settling in a particular way.
It's a
Yes, Helen.
point of transformation, the centre. And
Yes.
I've used it for healing, I've used it for journeying, I've used it in the psychic capacity. It's so huge how you can work with it.
Yes.
It's one of the most powerful of symbols, I think.
Yes. Thank you, Helen. So healing, transformation, psychic travels or gifts or insights. Yes, I've had some magical moments in the centre of a labyrinth.
But it's also the process of walking.
It
that's
is.
important as well.
It is. It's, again, like the life's journey, because you go in, you go in, and then you think, oh, I'm nearly at the middle. But oh no, you get taken around, and then you get taken much further away from the goal, and you have to do quite a lot of walk to get to the actual centre. It's a journey, and it is like the journey of the soul, the human. It's very multi-layered, let's say.
It's also important to walk it on the way back, not just jump over.
Oh, 100%.
But the one up the road is a mile to walk.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I found labyrinths very transformational, like Helen was saying, and I find that the landscape heals. We've just talked a little bit on spirals, and I find that if you can stand on certain points in a labyrinth, it can help you let go of something you're maybe carrying that you no longer need to be carrying. And it's a wonderful experience. So, how do labyrinths get created? Well, they start with a circle. You can maybe just see it here, and then another 2 circles kissing each other, and you start to make this 4-petaled flower, a bit like the flower of life, kind of sacred geometry, so everything relates to itself. And that's where the labyrinth starts. So I've got here a picture of that 4-petaled flower. And then here's a drawn version. I've got some painted drawn ones up there, so you can see them in situ. So you can use these as a finger labyrinth. And the process of constructing them, and also the process of constructing the flower of life by hand, is very meditative and very harmonizing and very healing. This is where the dragons started to come in. So this is an amazing, beautiful labyrinth at a place called the Global Retreat Centre in Oxfordshire. Brahma Kumaris organisation, you can go there for free. They do free talks. You can walk the labyrinth there. We went as Thames Valley Dowsers. I facilitated a walk, and we used some lovely sound essences to sort of mist energetically our intentions going into the labyrinth. The energy there is fabulous. It's a really lovely place. So on my way to walk this facilitated walk with the attendees for that session, I was gifted a beautiful feather this big right there in my path. Okay, pick it up. And after that moment, because it really did feel like a gift, nature had provided something in my path, and I've used it with my healing work since then, shamanically. After that day and getting that experience, I went to my own labyrinth at the end of the garden, and I was told, this is how dragons lie. I was standing in the centre, I heard messages coming through, and I was, oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. Open to it, of course, because if you're open, that sense of discovery, Indiana Jones again, he finds some wonderful stuff on his journeys. So after that point of getting that message in the labyrinth at home, every single walk I did for months, and I walk the dogs every day with my lovely husband, Oliver, every day I got a feather in my path. Literally every time we walked. Do you remember? It was always so what I was getting is a bit of feedback to say, you're on the right path, keep following your nose. Trust in this. So that was a year and a half ago. So dragons are relative newcomers in Alex's scene. So I've tried to show here graphically what's happening in the centre. So imagine this is the horizon, let's say the Earth. This is the labyrinth goal. And what happens when you're standing on the goal, when you do the walk, is you have, within 24 to 48 hours of a labyrinth being placed intentionally with the support of dowsing, with the right centre, you have water coming to create a crossed stream, to create the spiral. The spiral comes up and the spiral comes down. So you standing in the middle, remember that picture of the cosmos with the 0 point field? That's where you're standing when you're in the goal. Everything and nothing. Stillness. Alchemy is happening here. And it can be subtle yet powerful. Does that make sense, that drawing with the energies of...
Totally.
Okay. Brilliant. So, looking at patterns, a bit like when we see the spirals twisting and we look at the toroidal field, I see the potential for the Solomon seal six-pointed star to be spinning in those ways, looking at the shape a bit like a spiral. What if we're in the middle of that, where that's happening? And that drawing actually reminds me of a magical part in our central heart space, our assemblage point. So our assemblage point is a place a bit like our inner gyroscope, where we want it to be like that. But let's say we've had a few knocks in life, or a jump start, or people shouting at us, or whatever's happened. Sometimes it just goes off pitch a little bit. And healing can help us get our inner gyroscope centered again. And that helps the healing that we have for whatever we need or want healed stick. Sometimes when we're off like that, when we're off our kilter, the healing, the best healers in the world, may not be able to have stuff stick. We need to be centered. We need to be in alignment. Imagine if this triangle was spinning, but it was off key a bit. Imagine how that would feel. I was just Googling for preparing this talk, And I just Googled Dragon Star Labyrinth. I think I Googled. Anyway, I came across these books on Amazon. I'd never seen them before, but look at the patterns again. Dragons, stars, and these energies. This is just a novel about people, I haven't read it. Warriors of Light. Sounds quite interesting. But I was just, again, sometimes we have in culture changes and shifts that you can see happening. So I don't know if any of you have kids or grandkids of a certain age. Unicorns have been quite big recently. They've been coming back big time. Dragons have been coming back. How to Train Your Dragon. Game of Thrones, for those who can cope with watching it. But, there's a lot in the collective conscious about dragons. And I'd ask you to contemplate in your own sense of who you are, what does the idea of a dragon mean to you? How does it feel? What does a dragon make you feel? And just to sort of stay with that a little bit, this is a picture of the Winter Labyrinth, just made literally out of raked leaves on the forest floor at the back of our garden. It was a very simple 3-circuited labyrinth, and I was guided to do this by, where's the dowsing rods crossing for the centre, how many circuits. The dowsing rods guided me to do that. I was guided to put an amethyst crystal geode right in the centre. And it's a winter labyrinth because there were mosquitoes in the summer, so it was very, very seasonal. And so you would walk through here, there'd be two slim trees, a bit like a doorway. You would walk in to this labyrinth, and I'd love you, as best as you can do, with your earth energies hats on and your sort of soul connections hats on, to try and imagine being here, because we're going to do a practical, interactive thing later on to do with connecting with this specific labyrinth. So you would walk around and you would go in like this and then go into the center. So it's a very, very simple one. And just along the way, I've got a little green table here mapping where the fairy circle was. There was a fairy circle just very close by that felt very magical and very uplifting. And so there was some crystals and candles and fairy images, just honouring the energies there. And what happened with this labyrinth over time? It evolved, like we evolve, life evolves. It was first and foremost just a raked labyrinth, and I enjoyed walking it. There was this beautiful Scots pine here, and you could, when you're standing in that alchemical space in the center, you could see things in the bark, sometimes get messages coming through, like the dragons telling me this is how they lie. And after some time, I was told, make a spiral, Alex. So about 30 yards down the track, I made a spiral to be almost like the cousin of this one. But it was lovely facilitating people walking in it. And this is what I found happened just before I made the spiral. I noticed, and I've started finding this in other labyrinths, and I'd be curious if you go to a labyrinth, if you find a similar thing. I kept finding spirals around them, but I found around this 3-circuited one, I found 5 spirals. And I dowsed, and they related to the 5 elements. According to traditional Chinese medicine, the 5 seasons, the 5 elements. And so I put these little flags in, which you can see here. I've got them on the table here. I put them in to mark where the spirals were. What I noticed was when the moon was waxing, the spirals ran anti-clockwise. When the moon was waning, the spirals switched and went clockwise. It felt like the balance. It felt like harmony, really lovely. And what I also noticed was when you walk in here, if one of your meridians associated with the 5-element theory, and I'll show you some stuff on this, you don't have to know about it, don't worry, it's all very easy to understand. If let's say you had this sort of large intestine meridian, was a bit imbalanced. You might find that wherever that one was, that you would slow down and want to stand there for a while. And sometimes just stay until you felt right to move on. And there's a technique we'll try later on with finger dowsing to see if we can balance our own meridians, if they need it, by using a finger labyrinth. So this is a diagram showing a bit about 5-element theory. And so imagine this is the center of the labyrinth, the yin-yang. It's again that balance of the masculine, the feminine. We've got winter here, element water, emotion fear for the bladder, and then you've got the yang meridians on the outside here, and then you've got the yin ones on the inside. So I've got a diagram that you'll see where they're all marked out. When I did a labyrinth facilitation just this summer gone, up in the Thames Valley, it was a turf labyrinth, 11 circuits, and we discovered more spirals around it. So it included, but wasn't limited to, the 5 elements and energies. And I started to find, again, with the alchemy, with the animalis, vegetalis, and mineralis energies as well. So what I've noticed is just because you find something in one labyrinth, you won't find exactly the same. Things might vary by where they are, how many circuits they have. It's said that the 7-circuited labyrinth is equivalent to the 7 chakras. So, there are all these different connections. So it's a world of discovery out there. And this is a picture of my friend and fellow dowser, David Atkinson, who I'm hoping to get down here to teach some dowsing sessions as well. We record a dowsing podcast together, Discovering Dowsing, and we were doing sound healing in the same turf labyrinth before people walked, and also walking the people as well with the didgeridoo and the heart drums. It was really lovely using sound in a labyrinth, and our instruments turned into dowsing instruments as well, because you could feel when the didgeridoo, when the breath was a bit, needing to rest. So it does transform through sound as well. This is a map one of my fellow Thames Valley dowsers did of the energy lines he and some others found. So he noticed, oh, Alex, we found more than 8 spirals. We found 16. And so, again, things don't stay the same. And what he said was the only thing, this is Mike Cubbage, I want to credit him and his drawings here and his findings. He was saying the only thing he could relate to the 16 was this double flower of life, which reminds me of a vertical overhead view of the toroidal field as well, and geomancy. So again, I mentioned geomancy was my 20-year-old self doing a fashion degree collection, and it reminds me of the I Ching. Yeah, it's the same kind of patterning. I'm just starting to get into this because I've never looked into it in any detail, but now, having found a connection with labyrinths and spirals, again, this journey of discovery just keeps getting more and more interesting. After this dragon energy came in and I started connecting with it, has anyone been to Avebury? Okay, Avebury, yay. So have you been to the sanctuary in Avebury? Okay, so the sanctuary, I love the sanctuary. I love the feeling there. It's very gentle, soft energy. And I went there after having gone to view a motorhome up the road in Wiltshire for possible purchase. And I was told, stop at the sanctuary, stop at the sanctuary. So I did. I got out with the dowsing rods. I walked in. I was guided to walk from the gate just up there all the way through here, up here. And then I was shown, actually, you just walk in, do your labyrinth here, and then you come out doing the same path, But then you have a second outer labyrinth like that, but only on the way out. And as I was walking on that way out, that's my Alex sketch of what I found. Labyrinth. And then standing there as the sun set, it was a really beautiful view down across the hills, gentle sloping hills of Wiltshire. And I had the song Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds come into my awareness. That's the new dragon that's joined the team. So it was a really wonderful place to meet a dragon guide, dragon energy. This is a picture on a book by Hamish Miller. That's a labyrinth. That's a dragon, as the dragon likes to lie. That's how they lie. So how does it feel walking the dragon? It's quite something when you connect with it on that elemental, primordial way. So, moving down to Cornwall, we've got a field attached to our garden where I've been told to build a labyrinth, and it's going to be a turf labyrinth, and it's told me it's called this, Dragon Star Crystal Labyrinth. So, why is it Dragon Star Crystal Labyrinth? Well, I have 2 paving slab-sized honey onyx crystals, and I was wondering why. They came off a lovely old table, and the dragons on the table over there are from the same table, funnily enough. I was thinking, why do I have 2? You know, maybe it's to have a big centre for the labyrinth, for the goal of the labyrinth. And actually, you'll see when I show you the pattern that the labyrinth has said that it wants to be. Oh, I just found this video of dragons moving, and it just made me feel very happy, so I thought I'd share it. That's how powerful it feels when you connect with them. And you can get mesmerised with their power and their beauty and their gifts that they're coming back to share with us. So this labyrinth is shaped in a very unusual way. I've never seen one shaped like this, but this is what I've been told to map. So you go in here and you go around and do the labyrinth starting from this central place here. And then you get in the middle to the goal, which is one of those 2 slabs. And then there's a spiral like the cosmos off here. So there's the second paving slab, wants to go there. So I've never seen it like that in any other labyrinth. I went into the field the other day. It's only marked out by wooden satay sticks at the moment. It's winter and we've just moved, so be patient. We will get there. But I just asked the dowsing rods, just show me where you want me to go, just in the field the other day. And they crossed just literally almost like the spine or the chakras of the dragon. And it felt very empowering to walk that. So it's just showing me more and more every day. It's an absolute delight. Dragons in the landscape. I don't know if you've heard of Rory Duff. Seen any of his talks? Yay. Emperor dragon nodes and things like that. You know, that there are dragon earth energy lines. David, who was doing the didgeridoo and drumming with me, he's found dragon nests in hill forts where you see little dips in the hill fort landscape. Just douse, see what you discover when you go to those places. Barrows, labyrinths in particular. I do think there is some deep connection, and the elemental kingdom as well with dragons. Dragons in the landscape, Glastonbury Tor, labyrinth. Dragon energy lines, the male dragon line, the female dragon line here, going through Glastonbury, and it's Robert Kuhn is credited with that, the Earth Chakras chappie. So, elementals and how dragon energy seems to me in my experience, to settle into the elemental kingdom. Structural intelligences with our beautiful gnomic kingdom, helping, supporting the crystals, the rocks, the underground energies. Growing intelligences with the fae or the fairy world, how, I felt like that's how plants are growing, and the fae, the fairy folk, thank you, thanks Stu, the fae folk, I may be saying something there, I don't know, maybe I need to colour it in more. And then the dragons, they are connected with the 4 elements. Fire-breathing dragons, we all know that. So we know the element fire is there. Air, because they can fly. Earth, because they're coiled on their bellies in the centre of the labyrinth. And the scales, water, fish. You get all of the elements together. And they're archetypal. And they're here. Some people say dragons are the elemental spirits for humans. So just like we have the fae folk for the plants, these chaps and chapesses are to help us.
You know that Cornwall's the land of dragons?
Oh, thank you, Helen, for that. Yeah. Cornwall is the land of dragons.
The shape of it, it's a dragon's head.
Okay, thank you for that. That's a lovely contribution. Cornwall's shape is a dragon's head. I literally need to go home and look right now, actually. And driving in North Wales, across through to the Conwy Valley, I could really see why they say Wales is the land of dragons. It looked like dragons were literally sleeping in the landscape. It was beautiful.
If you go to Round Tor, there's a sleeping dragon in the landscape.
Oh, Round Tor, okay. Make a note. Thank you. This is a picture taken of a dragon aurora. In Iceland, they get some pretty spectacular light shows up there, but how beautiful is that? And these are some words I channeled from the dragon energies. They said, "We are bright, illuminating your path, your shadow, your breath, working with all the elements seen and unseen, for all life, all the beings in all the worlds. We are here to encourage the flow. We are flying, and we are starting to land. Our brothers exist as dragon energy in the earth, snaking, coiling, supporting, and sometimes burning. We are the sistren of the light." So, how have dragons helped me? How might they help you? This is a bit like a menu of wonderful things they've helped with me. They've helped me deepen my awareness. Absolutely. My connection with Source, with the elemental kingdoms, with the accessibility of that information. It's more like a direct phone line now. They've taught me about the healing potential of labyrinths in a deeper way, connecting with their energies. Helped me discover new labyrinths like the Sanctuary. I had no idea, but Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds came through then, and they're helping me with the labyrinth at our new home. Deeper connection with the earth energies as well. So before, when I was doing earth energy work, I would have my dowsing rods. I might get a bit of a tell in my body, a sense of something. Now it's almost like, boom, you feel it in your body first. I can really channel different earth energies and elemental beings, like Gnomic Kingdom in particular. I know they like folk music, and I play a little folk ditty to them to help do a little dance together, like the Morris dance sort of sound. They love it. But I didn't know that before I started working with dragons. They've given me a new healing modality. So now sometimes it's completely spontaneous. I don't ask for it. It just happens. Sometimes I'm doing some healing work and my eyes start to move without me telling them to, sort of, I would say, autonomously to them, and they start to do something which feels like knitting together broken earth energy patterns, broken sacred geometry flower of life. So it's like they're mending. If you were to look at me when I was doing it, you kind of might have a chuckle because it's not something I can control. And I've started doing the same thing with my hands, again, spontaneously. Sometimes they're just moving in a particular way. I am not commanding them to do this. It's coming through me, it's channeled healing modalities. It feels like a physical version of a light language, if you're aware of a light language sort of concept. So I'm just so grateful to this insight, starting with the big boom of the delivery of the massive feather at the Global Retreat Centre, and just the journey that I'm going on with them and trying to share a little bit with others. So in a Labyrinth journey, we've talked a little bit about how they can help. They can balance our brain hemispheres left and right to calm the busy thoughts, clarity out of a conundrum, and it's just your energy field can expand, and you can measure people's or each other's energy fields when you walk a labyrinth and see before and after. It's a lovely calibration to do. Sometimes, like on the turf labyrinth in Oxfordshire, where we were doing the sound healing, the owner of the labyrinth, who again was called by a stag in the mist to come and move there and build the labyrinth. A bit like Herne the Hunter kind of feeling, and Pan energies. And so with that, she said one of her friends took 45 minutes with quite serious health concerns, 45 minutes to walk the labyrinth like this. But then after she came out, she could move much more freely. So you can't claim anything, but you can share anecdotal experiences of what people have found. When we did the talk and walk in that turf labyrinth, one wonderful woman, member of our Thames Valley Dowsers group, she had a painful knee and it had gone by the time she walked out of the labyrinth. So things can happen along those lines, but you can't plan it and you can't tell it to give you that thing. You just allow whatever happens to happen. Can anyone see anything in this picture?
Yeah, dragon.
This was a lovely gift from Melanie Lorian, part of the Earth Energies group, who do lovely Earth Energies calls and Zooms. I think, Nigel, you're part of that same group with Chris and David and Paul. And she sent me this, and she sent me this picture that she found in the woodland. At the time, it was becoming the green wood dragon for the Chinese New Year. So I'm just making some suggestions here of, if you are piqued with your interest, if you are of an open, inquiring mind, if you're also a fan of Indiana Jones, please consider these options here. There's a Labyrinth Society with an online labyrinth locator, very handy free tool. If you're looking around, and just look in the sky, ask, you'll see labyrinth walking is, for me, a surefire way to connect with them.